stand for our pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome you all here tonight. Roll call, please.
Sarda?
Here.
Crandall?
Here.
Greenway?
Here.
Mueller?
Here.
Sternquist is out for this meeting. He's gone.
You have a quorum. It's time to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda before us. Second.
Motion by member Greenway, second by member Sarda, that we approve the agenda for this evening. Roll call, please.
Greenway?
Yes.
Sarda?
Yes.
Mueller? Mueller?
Bueller.
Yes.
Crandall?
Yes.
Jacqueline, are you muted on your end?
I was muted, yes,
Okay, thank you.
absolutely.
You have before you the minutes of the July 10th, 2023 regular school board meeting. Here get a motion to approve those minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the July 10th, 2023 regular school board meeting.
Second?
Moved by member Sarda, second by member Greenway, that we approve the minutes of the July 10th meeting. Roll call, please.
Sarda?
Yes.
Greenaway?
Yes.
Mueller?
Yes,
Crandall?
Yes. It's the time we disclose any conflicts. Anybody have any direct or indirect conflicts? Hearing none, move on to the public comment section. Has anybody signed up for our public comments? None signed up?
Nope.
Thank you. Next up, we have the consent agenda. Entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda before us.
Second.
Moved by member Greenway, second by member Sarda, that we approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Greenaway?
Yes.
Sarda?
Yes.
Mueller?
yes,
Crandall?
Yes. Next for us, we have the number 8, Policy for Pregnant Workers Fairness Act. I'm sorry, I did that every time. Good news, we can't forget good news. So we have Cody Lucas and Zach Campbell here, good news, and so Mr. Lucas will start us out.
All right, so first day back, everyone was there. It was an exciting day. Everyone's excited for the start of the year. Something our PTA did this year, we've done it a couple times, but probably the best turnout we had this year is we did a PTA cleanup day, beginning of August, just to kind of clean up our landscaping, make it look nice. So there's some pictures there. We had about 30 people that showed up that day. Just sent a message out to all the parents and said, if you can make it, come. We had staff, students, parents, grandparents, just friends of the community that came out and helped clean up the landscaping, so to make Stewart look great again. And then they added the Stewart cups on the fence. If you drive by, check that out. It just says Stewart Star. It's just a kind of a fun little thing they add there. And then they planted some flowers that are by each of the entrances going into the school as well for the PTA. Another thing we are doing at Stewart this year is we're implementing WIN time, which stands for What I Need time. So it's a 30-minute block for math and a 30-minute block for ELA. And during that time, we're working on looking at data to see what kids need help in different areas, breaking that down and having 3 groups. So for example, if it was kindergarten, they would all have WIN time at the same time, and our interventionist is going into the classroom. So there could be 3 small groups working where the 2 kindergarten classes are pulling kids from both rooms, mixing together, and then meeting those needs of those higher level learners, those middle of the road learners, and those that may be struggling. So we're doing that in math and reading, just kicking that off. And then as part of our collaboration time, having time where our coaches are looking at that data with the teachers to try and figure out where our kids need the extra assistance and things like that. So gonna be kind of a learning curve as we go, learn as we go, we told them today at our staff meeting, but they're excited to be implementing that. So that's all I got for you.
Thank you, sir. Campbell.
Well, it's good to be back. I'll be giving the good news for the YHS. So first and foremost,
our appreciation to our maintenance and custodian workers and everybody that helped get the school ready for the upcoming fall. You know, I think it probably looks better than when I left in April 2nd. So for the most part, upcoming here in August 8th, we had our YHS freshman orientation, which every year since we've been having it, I've been here, it's only grown, more parents, more students attending it. Then August 9th, we had our senior schedule pickup, and the 10th was the junior and sophomore pickup. We still have a lot more schedules, so you know, any parents and students listening, please make sure to get in there, pick up your schedules, work with anybody that you need to even get registered. So we have a couple more days before we actually kick off the school year. Mr. Moores also wanted me to convey that adult passes, $50 for single, $75 for couple. Those can be purchased at the admin building. He just wanted to pass on that note. And also tonight, the YHS Adult Booster Club Fall Sports Kickoff is at 5:30, and coaches talking at 6.
Any questions, Mr. Campbell?
I just have a comment. Would you mind sharing with the board your good news?
So my good news is, my family's all back under one roof. So I spent, the last 4 months, I got back last Thursday from Virginia. So I spent 114 days in a Holiday Inn, probably 10 by 10 hotel room, living there in the woods and experience all that Virginia has to offer during the summer months. Beautiful area, but, yeah, my family was able to fly out, be able to travel back and, adjusting to kind of the schedule changes of everybody being back in winter. It's awesome. So I'm great to be back. Glad, staff is awesome, you know, like I said, the maintenance, custodians, getting everything ready to go. They didn't move me out, everything was there as it was left, so that was even better. But
You gotta say Virginia's for lovers. I like this place. Thank you for your service.
Now, Zach, weren't you commissioned as well?
So now I'm officially a second lieutenant. A bullet part that I attended previously to heading this was more of the physical aspect, and then this was the academic aspect and application process. So now that I am finished, I'm officially dedicated as an officer of the United States Army, more specifically South Army.
Thank you for your service.
Congratulations.
Policy. First of all, we have the Pregnant Women's Workers Fairness Act, the PWFA policy.
So this, I'm Paul Von Olson, I'm attorney for the board here. And the Congress in December of 2022 passed, as part of the Consolidated Appropriations Act, two pieces of legislation that affect the rules that we're proposing here today. The first is the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act, which requires covered employers, of which the school district is one, to make reasonable accommodations for employee limitations arising from pregnancy, childbirth, or related medical conditions. The district has been operating, making reasonable accommodations for disability since the Americans with Disabilities Act was passed. Pregnancy, however, is not a disability, it is just a health condition. So the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act puts pregnancy-related medical conditions on equal footing, essentially, with the UDA. If there are any questions, I can discuss that, but I understand the board's fairly familiar with the general provisions.
And this and the other two policies discussed make the first reading, so no action is required tonight, just discussion.
Can you explain that number 5, the district will not require a qualified employee to take leave if another reasonable accommodation can be provided to the known limitations related to the pregnancy, childbirth, or related medical conditions of a qualified employee? An example of that?
An example would be, I'm trying to think of a medical condition associated with pregnancy. The one that comes to mind is preeclampsia, requiring restricted physical activity. If a reasonable accommodation could be made, removing the necessity of lifting heavy packages or something like that, then that would be a reasonable accommodation, as opposed to requiring the employee to take leave time during the time they were unable, because of their pregnancy-related condition, to perform those particular activities.
Thank you.
Then the second one is related. It is the Providing Urgent Maternal Protections for Nursing Mothers Act, the PUMP Act. That was also folded into the Consolidated Appropriations Act at the end of last year. It takes effect this year, so formal regulations are not gonna be available from the federal government on these probably until December, but we do have the text of the legislation itself, which gives us a basis to form the policy. And again, covered employers, of which the district is one, are required to make reasonable accommodations in break time and space to allow nursing mothers time to express breast milk as needed for their newborn for the first year after the birth of the child. The requirements are that the designated space not be a restroom, be shielded from public view and from intrusion by coworkers in the public, and then the space have a place to sit, a place to store a pump other than the floor, and to have access to electricity and sinks, and if possible, provide employees a place to safely store milk.
Questions?
I just have a comment on that, Mr. Crandall. I did reach out to our admin team in each of the buildings, and they've assured me that they've got a location or two in the buildings that they can take care of that. So, and very honestly, we've done this for quite some time, so it has worked pretty well with the accommodations that we have, but it's easy for us to implement in our buildings.
All right, and then the third policy change presented to you today is a refinement of the solicitation and fundraising policy for covering activities at school and school activities. There were some ambiguities in the language, some and/ors that we wanted to clean up, and we wanted to provide an objective standard and procedures for the approval of distribution of materials by the school district. For some time, the school districts had a policy of permitting the distribution of flyers and other informative materials concerning leisure and educational activities of interest to the district. And the policy has been refined to provide an objective standard for that. Basically, a finding by the Director of Student Services that the materials are age appropriate and in accordance with the educational objectives of the district. And then providing a timeline for those materials to be approved.
Any questions, discussion? The reason for the changes basically are,
Well, I think most of it was just to clear up some questions that we've been asked about the solicitation. And we turned it over to Paul, and he came back with what you see in front of us for changes. And we think it's easy enough to do, and just to clarify some things that you had questions about.
thank you. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you very much.
Up next, the Trailhead Learning Center. Exciting to see the work being done out there. And we have Clark Hagan here tonight. So, there he is. Where are you?
Up here, yeah. Clark Hagan, General Manager with Goff Construction. So the document that you see up there is the current GMP. Previously, when we were back here in May, we had a GMP 1. The only really difference from back then to today, what we're presenting with this update is in the electrical number. Previously, it was an allowance. We did not receive that electrical bid on the bid day. On behalf of the school district, we went out and we negotiated with Moose Electric on receiving that number. So it would be on the screen you're looking at specifically, it'd be line 12. That number is updated to the correct bid amount. A couple items that we did through negotiating with the school district is we forego markup on that difference from that allowance to their current bid. We also reduced the contingency that was line number 28 down from 800,000 and change to the $340,000 to help with the budget constraints on the project. A couple other items that did play into a factor that it did increase with the electrical number are really in the miscellaneous costs. All of them, with the exception of line 20, those are all just percentage-based markups. So those went up accordingly based on their percentages for those markups. Currently, as of right now, the project is under construction. We are moving ahead. The backup detail here, there is no difference other than the electrical number, so all that detail still remains true and in place for the GMP. Any questions?
Questions, Shereen, anything you want to add on that?
On that, I have some stuff to go on in the next meeting.
Okay, moving on. We have review, review the trailhead length funding plan.
Now, what you see here is the, plan for the revenue and the cost of the project. The revenue, you have capital outlay certificates, which we already have in place for the project, and the interest that those earn. Then you'll see food service fund at, 200, that we were able to get approved by the state to use that much from the food service to help fund this project. And then you have capital outlay fund, just, 1,218,500, we're able to use from capital outlay to fund some of the different things, or use some of the revenue for that project. The additional capital outlay certificates is to be determined, as the project goes on, and we'll get to the end of it, we will, see if we need to borrow, any more certificates, which we are able to do, but we're, like I said, we're too early in the project right now to come up with that exact number, that's just a rough number right now. Then we have down below that, so you have a total source, 31,924, 383 is total cost and total revenue. The TLC project cost, you'll see down below. The first GMP, that Clark was talking about was approved was the 27,954.78. With the addition that he showed you today, another 482.65, and he explained how we got to that point. Everybody gave a little on that number and it worked out very well. Going down further is 818,500 is the furniture, fixtures, and equipment, just costs that's coming from capital outlay. The different kinds of things, you have to supply everything within the building. Audio, visual, and tech, also coming from the capital outlay fund, 400. And then there's some soft costs, and some of the soft costs would be like your pre-construction, your architect, your engineer, kind of different things that fall in that number, which is the 273,340. And so you get to where you're 31,924,313. That's kind of how we're showing you how we're funding it and what the costs are of the whole entire project. Any questions?
Any questions? It's really exciting to see this project moving on, getting up there, and now we got the final numbers, so. We do need action on the construction documents and contracts, which basically encompass the costs that we discussed just earlier.
The GMP and any kind of documents that come.
Right, and the GMP, of course, stands for guaranteed maximum price. And so this authorizes the business manager and all to execute those documents.
I make a motion to authorize the business manager to execute all Trailhead Learning Center construction related contracts and documents with a final guaranteed maximum price not to exceed $28,432,543.
Second?
Moved by member Sarda, second by member Greenway, that we approve the construction documents and contracts as stated. Any further questions? Discussion? Roll call, please.
Sarda?
Yes.
Greenaway?
Yes.
Mueller?
yes,
Crandall?
Yes. Return to school. Our Safe Return School Plan 2023. And Mrs. Bowles.
Hello, good evening. All right, I am going to walk you through our return to school plan. It should look very familiar. We go to the website. Our return to school plan can be found on our school district website. If you scroll to the bottom, it's also in the menu. I'm gonna have Shereen scroll all the way to the bottom of the page. And there it is. So you can access the plan, it's always up to date live with the last edit date. Over the past several school years, the Department of Ed required each of our districts within the state to have that safe return to school plan, which outlined all the mitigation efforts and strategies to ensure academic success for all of our students. So in order to achieve continued success with our in-person instruction in the Yankton School District, we will continue to utilize our plan. It has been working really well, and it's a way to be transparent with our community and our families. If you click on the link, you can see the plan. It should be very familiar over the past few years. It's worked well for us, and so you can see the last plans and when we adopted them, as well as all the review dates. So I'm just gonna take you briefly through each of the sections. So if you scroll down to section 1. So the first section is school health and safety. This section, I would say, would be most notable when we were going through the highest parts of the pandemic. Something to note now would just still continue to be monitoring our children at home before they come to school, excuse me, using the symptom screening. It's in English and Spanish on our document. Section 2, regarding academics. Our first initial plan, remember, had that 3 levels when the height of the pandemic was here, and now we are just still continuing our in-person as well as learning at home if that need were to arise. Also, this part of the plan outlines our visitors and volunteers. That was something that was most notable to our families during the pandemic, and so information there about bringing our parents and volunteers all back into the classrooms, which we started last year. Section 3, special education. Since the creation of this plan, we have launched a revision to our school website. So beyond the information right here, lots of great information on our student services page that talks about our ESL program, our title programs, our special education. So lots of information out on our website for that section too. Section 4, mental wellness, something that we continue to see as a need with our families, our students, our staff. Just as a reminder, our counselors are here to help, and as well as some of the programming that we have available from the school. And section 5, just overall operations. This hits on athletics, activities, food and nutrition, as well as transportation. And then section 6, workforce management. These are our staff and employees, making sure that we are mindful of their overall well-being as we continue to kind of navigate some of those after effects of the pandemic. Again, most notable to our staff would be our Avera EAP program, as well as our 605 program. If the community staff have any questions about the plan, you're welcome to always reach out with questions and comments to building principals. We do need to go ahead and approve the plan from last year, and I'll take any questions.
Any questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve the return to school plan 2023.
I'll make a motion to approve the Yankton School District Safe Return to School Plan for the 2023-24 school year.
Second.
Moved by member Greenwood, second by member Mueller, to approve this return to school plan. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Greenaway,
Yes.
Mueller,
Yes.
Sarda,
Yes.
Randall.
Yes. American Rescue Plan.
All right, so back on that home page, at the bottom of our website as well, is, just up a little bit, is the American Rescue Plan. This plan has been in action since 2021. So just as a review, the American Rescue Plan and the Secondary School Emergency Relief, so ESSER, fund was established in response to the immense challenges that we face as for our students, our educators, our staff, our schools, our districts, for preparing for and responding to COVID. The funds have been available since 2021 in all different forms, and so this is just a continuation of being transparent of how we're utilizing those funds. So If we could click on the link there, please. So the plan was approved on August 16th, 2021 by the school board. This just goes to show the different dates that we've reviewed it, as well as a breakdown of how we're utilizing those funds. So if you can scroll down. So right there, the first section are funds based on prevention and mitigation strategies, and then academic impact to lost instructional time. You keep scrolling. And investments aligned with our student needs. Other allowable costs. This lists all of the ways that we're using our ESSER funds and then engaging all of our students, our stakeholders. And at the very bottom is the newest update to this plan. It just lists there's 2 sections of ESSER 3 budget that we're currently looking at, learning loss and then general uses. And so this outlines those funds overall. Some notable ways that we're using our ESSER funds this year would be continuing our reading and math coach at the elementary, our 4 math interventionists at the elementary, and our math interventionists at YMS, our ALC and interventionists at YHS. This summer, all new Promethean boards at YHS. Lots of staff training. One area we did responsive classroom training, mostly with our elementary, some middle school as well, and then literacy training, which if you've looked at some of the information from the state lately, aligns with the literacy framework that the state is just pushing out. So those are some ways that we're utilizing our ESSER funds this year. Not all the ways, just some highlights.
Nicole, when are the ESSER funds gonna run out, do you know?
Yep, this will be our last year for ESSER funds. They'll be expended by September of 2024.
Okay. Elementary and secondary school emergency relief plan, is that what that stands for?
Yep. Any other questions?
Questions? All right, moving on, thank you. Request for consideration to pick up and drop off points for Gilboa School District. Dr. Kendall?
Yeah, just real briefly, this has been a yearly ask of the Gayville School District. There was just one little change, I think maybe a location moved, maybe a half a block, but otherwise everything's good. So I would recommend approving.
Have we had any problems in the past with this?
You know, I think the big thing is that it's their responsibility to get it to the school board, and that was taken care of this year.
Any other questions, discussions? Roll call, please. Okay, how about that? Yeah, let's make a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the Gayville Volunteer School bus pickup drop-off points for the 2023-24 school years presented.
Second?
Moved by member Sardis, second by member Mueller, that we approve the Gable Bound pickup and drop-off points. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Sarda,
Yes.
Mueller,
Yes.
Greenaway,
Yes.
Crandall.
Yes. Okay, a group insurance plan discussion. Sheree?
Yep, Personnel Committee met with Hub, and we went over the renewal, the annual renewal for consideration that's presented in front of you guys. We met, and it's gonna go a 4.8 increase of the specific reinsurance and 3.5 increase of the admin's fee for this coming up year. On that board, Arch Kendall, Sarah, Kathy, Jason, and myself were present.
Any discussion or questions about that insurance plan? Here, a motion to approve the group health insurance plan this year.
I'll make the motion to approve the specific stop loss reimbursement premium of $51.46 per employee per month, and the third-party administrative service fee renewal of $65.50 per employee per month.
Second.
Second?
Moved by by Commissioner Greenway, Member Greenway, second by Member Sarda, that we approve the insurance plan. Any further discussions? Roll call, please.
Greenway,
Yes.
Sarda.
Yes.
Mueller,
Yeah.
Crandall.
Yes. Entertain a motion to approve to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.